All right, so we are live with Steve Hultay today. Steve, thanks so much for being on the show with us. First ever paranormal spotlight, and yeah, I figured we just. Oh,
I'm here.
I mean,
I'm here. Happy to be here.
one second.
Thanks for having me on, Wes.
One, thanks, Steve. So yeah, you started got interested in the paranormal because you were seeing. I think I'd read that you had experienced some feelings and some experiences that you couldn't quite explain, and that brought you into looking into the paranormal and starting to figure out how to build ghost boxes. Like, can you take us through how that all began?
Sure. Actually, during my life, I mean, the house I live in was built in 1845, and Seabass, quiet. I'm sorry, my cat is is
You probably hear ours too.
very audible, very audible. So if you hear that, then it's not paranormal. It's just the cat. Uh, house was built in 1845. It started as a farmhouse, and it became a house. They kept adding on to it and stuff. Then it became an orphanage in the attic. My attic was originally an orphanage for foster children up there. So there was a bunch of stuff. There was the people that lived in the house before my parents bought it in 1970. There was a lot of stuff that happened. The people that they bought the house from owned the house for like 50 years. So there was a fire in the house. They built down a couple times. There was the foster children that they held up in the attic, where they kept people there. Not treated so nicely, as far as I know.
Oh,
So
okay.
that probably that caused something to go on later on. But when we bought the house, not we, my parents, but when they bought the house, you know, they heard the toilet flush, doors slamming. There was a bunch of stuff that was snoring. Yes, there was snoring going on because there was a merchant seaman that used to live upstairs where we built an extension on there, and where he died in the house, and you still hear snoring in that room because I grew up in that room, and when it's really quiet, you could hear the snoring. I even had a recorder because I couldn't take the snoring anymore, even though there was nobody there. I actually had a recorder.
Oh,
You could actually hear the recording of snoring.
wow.
So
So it's pretty loud then.
it was pretty, yeah, it was audible, which is weird, but I think it was like uh where it just plays over and over again. I don't think it was interactive with me. It was just kind of like
Uh,
it was just a residual,
right,
haunting where it,
right.
it actually just that's what happened every day. So I think
Hmm.
it just happened after they passed away. So I actually have when I captured that snoring, it was interesting to me. So that started,
Hmm.
early on in my teens, that happening. And then, when I got older, there was the ghost shows that were coming out. Ghost Hunters
Hmm.
mainly. I think that was the first one that was out. And I
Yeah.
started watching that and seeing what they were doing, and I said, well, I'd like to get in on some of that stuff. So I started researching what they do and their procedures. So I contacted their tech guy at the time, Ron Milione, who he was their tech guy in the early seasons of Ghost Hunters, and I said, hey, I'm interested in the stuff you're coming up with. Do you have any equipment that you want to sell? That I would be interested in because I'm mostly an EVP guy. I like to hear stuff. I
Hmm.
want to hear anything I could possibly hear, whether through a radio or through a recorder.
Hmm.
I just want to hear something. So that's my platform in this whole thing because I don't care about video, I don't care about pictures, and it doesn't mean anything to me. But audio was my thing. So I met Ron. He was doing a convention with the guy Brian Harnwell, who used to be the original member of Ghost Hunters. He was doing an autograph signing at one of the and yeah, the Dude Run guy, yeah, in Philadelphia. They were doing an event in Eastern State Penitentiary that night, and the guy Ron says, "I have this new piece of equipment. I'll sell it to you if you want to come pick it up." And I said, "Okay, I'm going to be at the event. I'll buy it from you there." So he said, "Okay."
Okay.
He never showed up.
Oh, geez.
He never showed up to the event. No, he never showed up to the event where Brian was, where he was signing autographs for ghost hunters and all that stuff. But he was still at the hotel in Philadelphia. So I told Brian, I said, I got to get my hands on this piece of equipment because I'm an audio guy. I got to have it. So I said,
Hmm.
I'll drive to Philadelphia from here because where I was at was in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It's probably a half hour drive to Philadelphia. So I said, I'll drive there. I'll pick it up. So I drive to the hotel and he's nowhere to be found. I go to the desk. I said, "Can you ring him? Tell him I'm down here. I want to get this thing." Well, I sat there for 3 hours
Wow.
at the hotel waiting for him to come down. And I guess me. He's probably like, "Ah, who the hell is this guy? I'm just going to sell this thing to him. No big deal." I was probably like the last on his list of people to check out, and so he finally came down, sold me the device, and I used it. Didn't really get much anything out of it, but it was my first step in trying
Hmm.
something new. And after that, I said, I want to try a lot more new stuff. I wanted to see
Hmm.
what I could come across and what I could do. And that's when I came across the Frank's box, as you know,
Okay.
as you know, you
Yeah.
know, Frank's
Yeah.
box taken on so many names over the years. Spirit box, Frank's box, hack box, all sorts of stuff. But
Hmm.
at the time back in 2006, there was you either had a Frank's box, which at the time I think he had like 10, maybe 12 made. So you either got one of the 10 or 12 or you didn't get anything.
Mm.
And nobody was friends with Frank. You
Oh,
know,
really?
he he kind of kept to himself and that was his thing. So I said,
Right.
"Okay,
So he's more of a kind of a hermit.
he was yeah, basically that's exactly how he was. He didn't like to talk to people, he didn't like to do conferences, he liked to just do his research and just that's it. He gave his stuff away to a couple people just to see what they would get with it, and then he would wait to hear the responses and see what they were doing. So that wasn't going very well at the time. So and I knew I couldn't get one because they were so rare. So I put a message out there to there was a page where I was looking for an electronic engineer, just somebody who understood the concept of a Frank's box, looked at the schematic, and to see what they could come up with in their own way. Well, the answer I got was from Joe Siapi, who made the Joe's box, which I'll get to that where I just called it the Joe's box because the Frank's box was made by Frank. Joe's box should be named,
Right.
should be named by Joe. So, I just went that. Well, I contacted I just threw it out there on the message board and Joe says he answered me. He said, "I know what you're talking about. I'm interested in that too. I have a different version of the Ghost box that I'm currently working on. I think I can do it." And I said, "I'm all ears. What do you got?" So Frank, for the most part, was doing AM radio at the time, and Joe contacted me and said, "I think I could do it with an FM radio." And he says, "I think I could do it fairly cheap with a dollar store FM tuner, and I think I could actually do it." And I said, "Okay." He says, "I actually started breadboarding something on the table, and let's see where we go from this." He goes, "Here's the parts I need." He sent me a parts list for Radio Shack, which was pretty commonplace here in the States. He
Mhm.
gave me a list of parts and they shipped, and they also had stores everywhere. I could just walk into a store. Now, Joe lived in about an hour and a half from me. So when I got all the parts together and I shipped it to him, he worked on it and he says, I got something working, and I said, well, you're not too far from me. I'm gonna come down and meet you, and we're gonna go over what you made, and let's see if we can make something out of this. So I went to there, to his house. It was just a Sunday afternoon. I just drove down there, and he brought the thing out there, and I didn't know what I was looking to listen for because it was a new device. So I was
Hmm.
listening to it, and I said, you know what, um, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it. I have this event coming up at Eastern State. I'm gonna bring it there, and I'll just see if I can get anything. To me, it seemed a little too slow, but
Hmm.
I said, what the heck? I'm going to use it anyway. I'm here. I'll take it with me. And he said, okay. So I did. I took it. I took it away, and I went there, and yeah, it was a big bust. Nothing happened,
Uh,
and I was pretty bummed out. So I brought it back to him the following weekend. I said, we need to work on some stuff, and we got some books out. He was reading some books about different people. I was reading some books about different people. We sat there at his table, got a couple cups of coffee. We went over different designs, different ideas, and we went back to the drawing board. And the second version of that box was the one that became a hit. For the Joe's box. Are you familiar with the Joe's box at all?
a little bit, yeah. It's pretty much similar to a Frank's box. It's like linear sweep, right?
It is linear sweep. It's FM only, um, and it basically just jumps from it's like the little dollar store readers that you buy when you hit the button and it scans. It goes from one
Hmm.
strong station to another.
Oh, okay, all right.
So what he did,
So it doesn't just sweep continuously. It just goes to whatever
it's not
station
sweeping
is
through.
strongest and
So it
okay.
became so it made the communication become so much clearer because now
Hmm.
you're cutting out all the in between stuff. You're going from one strong station to another, but he decided he's sweeping it. So it's good reception, good reception, good reception, and you could adjust that. So we finally made it where it was actually a good speed and it was fast. He made it faster, and I started hearing some great stuff coming through, and I said, "Stop! I think we got it." You know. So at
Hmm.
the time, Frank Sumption had a Yahoo group. At the time, it was EVP ITC Yahoo group, and when he was posting on there, it was just Frank because he was the only game in town. He had Frank, he had the Frank's box, and he was testing stuff. So it was just him doing stuff. Nobody else was doing anything. But he wanted feedback. So I decided I'm going to take this new box that Joe made for me, and he's going to what you call it, and I'm just going to start posting audio files from the box I have because I'm thinking I'm never gonna have a Frank's box. Nobody has a Frank's box. There's like 10 made, and he's not gonna give any of them up. So I just wanted to show that there's another game in town. There's somebody else doing something.
Right,
So
right, right.
Frank started listening to my files, and he emailed me, and he said, "Hey, that's as good, if not better, than what I'm coming up with. Would you like to try out my box? I have one
Oh,
that
cool.
I have one that I just got back, that I needed to fix. It was just a quick fix or whatever. I have it here. Would you be willing to try?" He's asking me, would you be willing to
Hmm.
try one of my devices out? So I was floored. I was honored. And I said, well, how much do you want
Hmm.
for it? Because I'm not a rich guy. I don't have a lot of money. I said, what do you want for it? He says, just pay the shipping. And I said, how much is the shipping? I don't know, $12 or whatever. I said, $12? Oh, you got it, man. I
Hmm.
paid I sent him a check because I think at the time because there was no like PayPal or anything like that. I think I just sent him a check for $12 and I waited what seemed to be a lifetime. It was probably almost a month for because he used a post office substation. I don't know why he did it. I guess it was cheaper to ship that way, but
Hmm.
he shipped it out to me. But I got it in about a month, and I listened to it. It was pretty quiet. It was one of the original random. sweep boxes that he made, which he never was able to get working again after that. He just he said the random circuit just didn't work, so he went to a linear sweep circuit. But this was an original random sweep circuit. The volume was so low, I had to actually. Wes, do you remember if they have those things that the listen up device, where like you can't hear something, so you put the headphones on, you point to something and it amplifies it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
It was
Um,
had to use one of those to listen to it because you couldn't hear
oh
anything.
wow.
I mean, it could be sitting right in front of you, and you just couldn't. You're like, what? I don't understand
So
what's going on. Couldn't really hear it.
you'd have
So
to hold this thing here in order to hear it.
yeah, so I had to buy one of those things as seen on TV that you point to something and have the headphones
Yeah,
on and it amplified it. So that's how I had to listen
yeah,
to it at the beginning. So
yeah.
that's
You
how I
would have
got my first.
like a spy guy or whatever.
So that was my first
Oh, okay.
experience with the Frank's box. Frank's box number 13, which I still have here. But anyway, that's how I got my start, pretty much. I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot.
Oh no, good. That's the idea. That's the idea. So from there you started working, or I guess you went out and got a Radio Shack box or something, or a Radio Shack radio, and you just hacked that, or
On that same group, where that all happened with the Frank, and all that stuff that was going on with him. Uh, there was a guy. His name on the group was Some Duck, SUMDUC. That was his name, and he says, "Hey, I got this Radio Shack radio, this hack box, that I just hacked. It basically scans through the stations, does pretty much what a Frank's box does, or what a Joe's box does at the time. You guys should check it out." So the guy just showed up out of nowhere. He posted that. Nobody commented. Nobody even
huh?
paid attention to this guy whatsoever. So I looked at it and I said, you know, what model is he? He says it's from the Radio Shack store. It's model blah blah blah, and it's pretty easy to do. I entertained the conversation. Um, I said, okay, that's the model. So how do you do it? He says, I'll tell you how to do it. So he did. He told me how to do it. You basically open it up, bend a pin, and that's what it was. And I said, okay. So I go to the store and I buy the radio. It's $20. So I come back. It's the 12-469 Radio Shack radio, which a lot of people know out there as a popular hacked radio. It was the white one, with the blue lighting on there, and
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty popular. So I got it. I hacked it. I turned it on. I got a bunch of information. I did like a 10-minute ghost box session, and I posted my files. They were really really good files, and I got really good stuff. And the guy says, "Hey, he emailed me back. He says, I love you were the only one that did anything with that information." He goes, I'm building a website. Can I put your audio clips on the website? Because I'm starting a website. It was ghostboxhacks.com. That was the website. And I
Okay.
said, absolutely sure, man. Just do it. He says, good. So I start doing that. And then it turns out the guy, some duck, ended up being Bill Chappell, the guy from Ghost Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy that builds all their equipment. You know,
Right.
he was under an assumed name, and I became really good friends with the guy. We talked on Skype pretty much every night, and he started sending me some of the stuff that he was working on, some prototypes. He just said, "Here, Steve, try this, try that, try this." He kept sending me stuff, just to try out different things or whatever. And this, like I said, it was way before he was the tech guy for Ghost Adventures. It
Mm-hmm.
was probably a few years before that, and I just I went with it. I started doing that, and then the hack craze got me. So I said, well, if that radio can be hacked, there's got to be other radios that could be hacked. So every model Radio Shack had after that, I ran to the store. I got it. I opened it up. I started tinkering around with it. I hacked my own probably half a dozen boxes, and I just kept sharing the information. Hey guys, there's more stuff out there. You could,
Mm-hmm.
12587. I did at the lunch table at work. There's just so many, and that the original one that Bill came out with. they started putting a clearance on that. They were $10 a piece. I bought a whole bunch of them. I was giving them away at the paranormal conferences. I was like, "Hey, you interested? Here, have one." $10. I just figured somebody else would get interested in ghost boxes. So that's how the hacks pretty much got started.
Yeah, and then everybody else started just kind of got into it, and it just kind of took off. Everybody's doing it now.
Yeah, it's harder now because a lot of the radios aren't
Mm,
really that way anymore. And I know you're
mhm,
doing the Arduino stuff, and I think a lot of people are going that
mhm,
direction because the radios aren't being built the same way they were being built back then. With the analog, you could either bend a pin or cut a wire, and then it would just scan continuously. They're just not like that
mhm.
anymore. They're all computer
No, they're not.
controlled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's hard to find them now too for a decent price. I mean, even if it's not hacked, you're looking at a $10 radio for 80, $90.
Oh yeah, at least. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So, what are you working on now, Steve? I saw something on your Facebook page, something called a phase shifter, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
What I did was I like to take. I have this book, electronic projects from beyond, and I have no idea why it's expensive, and it's an expensive book. Um, but it's an expensive book to buy. Electronic projects from beyond. I believe that's the name of the book, and it has all different experiments of stuff like that, what to do. But it held true for me because what I did throughout when I've been working for the past like 15 years doing this, what I want to do is I take old ideas, because the old ideas they work, and why change that? Uh, there's with technology now, you could take those old ideas and you could put a new spin on them, and you could
Hmm.
possibly make those old ideas better. That's a direction I always like to go in because why change something that works? You could either take the original that works, you could take a route over diode, you could do the route over, listen to it and capture EVPs. You could absolutely do that if you want to do that. The information is still out there on the web, and you could build it. It's not that hard to build.
Hmm.
What I want to do is I want to take something that is an old idea that's great, and I want to make it I just want to make it better, because
Hmm.
why start it? I mean, I've started new projects where you start from scratch and you end up going nowhere, but it takes months until you get to the point where you're
Hmm.
like, oh, it didn't go anywhere. But so
Hmm.
early on, I decided, why don't I take, some ideas that already work, use today's technology, revisit that communication aspect, and just make it better, because we have
Hmm.
the ability to do that now. So what I did with this device is I just took the old idea of the route over diode, and where route over was getting all sorts of great stuff and doing that stuff. I decided to just amplify the crap out of it. So basically, you could either listen to it or you could plug it into a recorder. And I
Hmm.
added a frequency sweeper. So it's two part. It's sweeping all sorts of frequencies and using a route over diode. So it's a uh, two part kit that I built. So you could I don't know if it's going to work or not. I haven't really caught
Hmm.
anything yet. I haven't really done much with it yet, but I hear the outcome. I know it's working. So, I'm using the old school technique with a new school technique, and I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I hope it does.
Yeah.
And it's something that nobody's done yet. So,
Hmm.
and there's stuff more, in the docket that I'm going to work on, and the wife is working on a bunch of stuff as well. So,
Hmm.
we're going to be coming out with some stuff. So, we'll see what
Right on.
happens.
Yeah, that sounds good. And Katie, she's working on. I don't know if you two are working on it together, but it's something called the Phoenix,
Yes.
which
The
is I think it
the Phoenix
works
is.
off by taking.
Go ahead. The Phoenix is
Sorry.
working. The Phoenix is working off of, um, basically. the original idea was there's basically what they call allophones, which is bits and pieces of speech. And I know if that's been done. Uh, but again, I like to take stuff that's been done, and we need to make it better.
Hmm.
So she found more speech chips that actually don't just have the 72 allophone bits and pieces of speech. She found it has thousands. So, and you could change the dialect, you could change man, female, male,
No, no, no,
female.
it's gonna be all, no, I have it in random, sorry.
Was it
Yeah.
Katie wants to tell you about it?
Oh, well, I just heard, no, you can't, I don't have it where you can select the voice. I have it where there's,
No, I'm just saying that there
oh,
are different voices.
oh, yeah, yeah, there's a whole bunch of different voices and it's kind of put out there into like the random chaos and whatever is chosen is
Okay.
chosen.
Right. So all kind of mashed together.
We'll talk about it.
Well, I'm not gonna get in front of the camera. So.
No, you don't hear.
Okay, I guess
Hang on
I'm
one
gonna
second.
talk for
I
a
got I got to
while.
step away for a second. But Katie's gonna
Sure.
talk to you. Hang on a second.
But I'm invisible,
Alrighty.
so you're just gonna hear me.
All right. We're speaking to Katie, the Invisible Woman now.
Yes,
How you doing, Katie?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good.
But basically, with the Phoenix, I'm still kind of tinkering with the different modes and stuff like that I
Hmm.
am trying out because there's a phony mode and it uses there's different kind of phone. I've actually learned a lot about linguistics because of this project. Um, if you think about, okay, so let's say there's, I don't know, I'm just going to pick any 50 phonemes. And, but, it's like saying, do we say use a word or let the letter T more than Z? So like they're kind of
Mm.
weighted. So I have,
Okay. All right.
yeah, so I have like probabilities factored in, and I actually
Hmm.
read a paper from, I think her name was Rebecca Hayden from 1950, where she actually did all the statistics for them. So I have, some
Oh
modes for
wow.
that. And then I have like a collision mode where everything's given the same. And even if they're not compatible, just to see what would happen. And so
Hmm.
it's getting close to being finished.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you're actually using this research, like you said, to figure out how often certain phonetics are said, and then using that to do
Yeah,
something
I'm
that's
having that be a
good to
mode just
generate
because
speech. Yeah.
we don't know
Hmm.
what is going to work and what's not going to work. And so
Hmm.
I thought, why not have, it might be confusing for everybody else though, but, um, yeah, so if like one mode seems to provide more communication than the other, then, that'll give us a clue as to what helps us communicate, with
Right.
whomever or whatever.
Right. Right on.
Yeah.
That is super cool.
I have to finish it
All
up
right.
though, instead of thinking
Yeah.
of new
Yeah.
ideas to add on to it.
So still a lot of work to go on that.
Well, I keep adding things to it and I needed to stop.
Hmm. I'm the same way. You
Yeah,
just get these ideas in your head. And you just want to go ahead and do that before you're done with what you've already started on. I get that totally.
cool.
All right.
I mean, there's also other stuff that we did also. We did the live ghost box, which is still out there
Yeah,
and
Right. Right.
it's on there.
still running.
Yeah.
Because one of the main things that you know I wanted to do throughout my time doing this research was I wanted to just take everything that worked and with the ghost box, everybody's skeptical. "Oh, I think I just heard a radio disc jockey. I think I just heard a commercial.
Hmm.
I wanted to get past that and try to do something different. So I decided to make a reverse speech. I woke up one day and I just said, I think I could go to the store and buy a guitar pedal and the one I bought, and you're a guitar player as well. So
Hmm.
it was a Boss pedal, DD
So,
DD1, I think it was.
oh, okay.
And it had reverse on it. So I said,
Oh, right
I'm gonna
on.
buy it. $130. I went out to the store, I bought it, just for research. You gotta spend some money if you want the research. So I brought it home. I hooked it up. I found the right combinations of connectors. Because it has, the big quarter-inch jacks. So I had to find some sort of adapters to get it down to what I needed to do. And when I played the radio through it, it actually reversed it. And I said, okay, this idea is going to live. It can work. And then I moved on from there. I decided I can't spend $130 every time I want to make one of these boxes. So I found an alternative box. It was like a $25-$30, and that's when I set it up and I streamed it live. And I did that for a while for free, right? We did it. We did it for free for a while.
Yeah.
And
we still have the.
we still have the free one there, but it's not reverse right now. It's just an FM regular streaming. But Stream 2 used to be the mainstream where we tried it out. But I mean, the stuff costs money. We have to pay for 3 servers, 3 computers to run all the time.
And we've been getting power surges and wrecking our stuff.
Yeah, power surges.
Oh boy,
it sucks.
It fries stuff. So.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So I mean that happens, but I mean the original one, which is Stream 2 now on our live Ghostbox page is like the mecca for a lot of people. That's their go-to, because it's taking AM radio, it's sweeping, and it's burst speeds. There's nothing that makes sense whatsoever, and if you can get something out of it, which a lot of people do, it just.
We were thinking though recently of maybe shutting down the entire project, just because it is a lot of upkeep. It costs us money, and it's ongoing work. It's not like when you think about the other apps that are out there, you make it once and then then you just sit back and move on to something else. This is like a daily thing. Like I think I have to change the batteries in the 12-587 right now. But
yeah, that's on 3.
Yeah. But I asked somebody, it was somebody that had an app user that had emailed us with a question, and then I just asked her. I said, how would you feel if we ended the project like at the end of the year? And she wrote me back this long letter, basically, or email saying that she would be devastated, and so we're trying to do everything we can to keep it going.
Oh, so that's awesome. Yeah, I know for a lot of people, it's probably the only thing that they really have if they want to use an actual ghost box is to actually be able to go to the live ghost box and to use that app. That was the first thing that I ever used ghost box wise was the live ghost box and live ghost box plus. And I know it's been really helpful for a lot of people. And I know you were telling me before that you were thinking about shutting it down, Katie, and I wasn't too happy about it. I understood the reasons behind that you told me at the time, but it's definitely very, very valuable resource to people. So it's
and it keeps the old school technology out there.
Yeah, it keeps the old stuff out there. We're old school, It keeps like the old radios, and it's got a new tech spin on it with the reverse and stuff like that I did, but it's still old school technology. It's got an old analog
and you can trust it
radio, and yeah, you could trust it with the information you get. It's live. It's not like we're sitting in there fiddling with it and doing stuff. It goes down sometimes in the middle of the night. We don't even know it sometimes until we get a message from somebody and saying, "Hey, Stream 2 is down or Stream 1 is down," and then we have to go and why? We had a lightning storm last night. I guess it blew out something, so we have to reboot it. A lot of times it's not just the radio, it's the server, or the power supply. We've had it all happen, and it all costs money. It's not it's not a money maker. We're not millionaires from doing this, believe me. It's costing us money, right? It's costing us money at this point.
And we did it. We set everything up years ago. And so, since then, some new stuff has come out. But if we were to update everything, so we could potentially have cheaper ongoing costs, but that would mean we would have to update all the apps. And at this point, I had bought a used Mac to make the iOS app, but it's completely outdated. It's basically a large paperweight. I can't, I would have to buy a new Mac computer and learn to the updated
Right.
coding for it and all that stuff. So
Right.
so weighing that with the higher cost is just for right now. We're just going to deal with it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Well, it works, so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's the main thing, I think. And it works, works really well. So, yeah. But speaking of like Ghostbox Plus, Katie, you've given us 5 codes that we're going to be able to give out to somebody, 5 different people. There's 3 Android codes and 2 iOS codes. So somebody will be able to get a copy of Ghostbox Plus. If you already got a copy, then you can hand that over to somebody else who doesn't, and just help them out with that. So I figured we just take a look at the chat and see who's in there, and maybe do it that way.
Cool.
Yeah, Live at Ghostbox Plus is that's a good app. There's
Yeah.
tons of stuff to do in that app too. It's not like you got 3 different Ghostbox to
You
listen
can
to.
use
You got experiments you could use.
you could
You
use
got pick.
experiments with your regular ghost boxes.
Yeah, you could do anything you want with
Oh,
it.
absolutely! You guys have got the different images that you can ask spirits. What's that? Any other different questions, and what else is in there, guys?
Katie,
Oh, sorry, I was
what else?
typing to Glenn.
What else is in there?
In the app. Okay, sorry. There's speed control.
Yep.
So you can slow it down. So, because a lot of people think that the Hultay is like their sweep speed too fast. So you can
I
slow it down, but that's the correct way to slow it down, I think. You don't want to have a slow scanning thing, and because then the potential for full radio words is really high. And for new people, I think that's a concern.
I know a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people like just coming on board and start doing this stuff. What do they start doing? They start getting a slow sweeping ghost box, and they're like, no, you just need to get words that you like that are coming across, and you need to just make a
Well,
sentence out of that, yeah, and
yeah,
make it make sense. And like, no, that's not how it's designed to do. You can't just make a file out of nothing just because you heard a certain
Mm-hmm.
amount of words and you listen to what you wanted to hear, and it's just words from the radio. You need them to make snippets of sounds. That's how it works. It's not
and it takes
it's not words.
you have
It's
to
it's
train
sounds.
yourself though. You've been doing this forever, so it's natural for you. But for new people, they really have to train themselves and
They're not
paranormal.
getting the information they
Well,
need though.
well, no, they have to train their ears to listen to the faster sweep. They have to be
Right.
patient and just get used to the sound. And I mean, it's easier for you because you're from the Northeast.
Yeah. I guess. So
But yeah, so there's speed control players where you can slow the stream down. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and on Android there's a background player, so you can, which I mean that just basically means you can um, close out the app and still listen to it. What else? There's like stuff about Steve, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's about it.
yeah, this I mean, as
Yeah.
long
Oh,
as
you can see like a location of the other listeners and how many are listening.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the map and everything on there.
Yeah. We did end the giveaways just because we can't afford it. So that's basically
basically,
why.
yeah, that's basically the reason.
Yeah, yeah. We are
But
going to do a
Android
giveaway at the
users,
end of the show, though.
was
What's that?
that?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I was just saying that we were going to do a giveaway at the end of the show. But
Okay.
you were saying?
I was going to say that Android users need to make sure that they go to the Live Ghost Box YouTube channel. There's a video. You need to check your Android device because some of them do have a bug in it where um, it causes the audio to repeat. So there's just a little tutorial there to show you how to
There's just so
check for
much
that.
with all this
It's
stuff.
just a glitch with live streaming audio. So
Mm-hmm.
it only
Yeah.
affects Android, just a small percentage of Android users.
Yeah.
But
So I'm seeing that we have some questions in the chat here, Steve.
sure.
Um.
What you got?
So let's see here. We've got Glenn here. Says, what do you think to the S box compared to the SB7? Do you think the SB7's days are numbered?
What are you saying?
That's the S.
The ghost box?
No, S box. That's that new one.
What's the S box?
That's the one. See, I don't think Steve
Is
knows
that
about
the
it.
I don't know the S
or is
box.
It's
that
that
the
really
one
teeny tiny
from
one.
Ghost?
Kevin Himes did a review of it recently.
Do you know what that is?
The S box is it the app or?
I don't know what an S box is.
I think it's something. If I'm thinking correctly, it's like a really teeny tiny one that's come
Can
out
you ask
that
him?
people are having some issues with and
I'm not familiar with the S box. I can't compare the SB7 to something I have no idea what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know
Is
what
it black and red?
Yeah, is that the one from I forget that's like a ghost hunting store that sells like ghoststop.com? Maybe might be the
is that
place
the
you're
one
talking
that
about.
streaks so slow that you can't possibly get anything from?
No, I don't think
Is that
so.
the one? Because
No,
there was one that
this is a
came
new.
out.
This
It was so slow.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I
It
don't
was
know.
it's red and black. I'm not sure if that's the one, but it's red and black and it has a whole bunch of different
Oh,
features like you can record on it and whatever.
okay. I think I saw Kevin Himes do a review of it
I think
recently, and I had never seen it before that, so I can't really comment.
I want I want to say if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's the one that sweeps so slow that there's no way you could ever get anything from it
I didn't
ever.
even hear much
And you
on it,
know,
so
I mean, if you're comparing that to the SB7, uh,
Mm,
I mean that's
yeah,
I don't
that
you
was
got
Glenn. He was just asking
you got
because
one
yeah.
bad box compared to another bad box. I don't know. I guess you
Steve's a
know
ghost box snob.
I guess one has to be better than the other. I would have to say the SB7 has to be better than the one. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it has to be better than the other one. You know, but I don't like either one actually. But
S box and control.
the SB7 is very popular though.
Hmm.
You know, a lot of people use it because a lot of people use it because it's inexpensive. And I don't know if it's still
And
$60. $60 you can get in on it and start doing stuff, but I don't know.
yeah, it's gained a lot of popularity in ghost hunting shows too,
I know
which might be part of the charm to it.
The SB11 was just an unusable piece of equipment. That was terrible. That was awful.
Oh my god, it sounds horrible.
That's it's holding my window open right now. That thing, because
Oh.
so the window doesn't close down on it. I got the SB11 sitting right in there, so the window doesn't slam down on it. So yes, it does serve a purpose. It's not for you know EVPs or ITC work, but at least it holds my window open. So that's cool.
Some use, huh?
It does. It has some
At least
use.
you put it to some
That's
use.
terrible. Have you used that? Have you used that, Wes? The
the SB
SB11?
the SB11? No,
Yeah.
no, I've seen it, but the sound of it just hurts my ears.
It's well, you can't. You could stand on the top of the Empire State Building and never get a signal. You won't get a signal no matter where you are. It's just maybe it just wasn't meant to use radio. It says it is, but it doesn't. It's terrible. But I still kept it because
It's
I'm a
got
collector and I have to keep everybody's stuff for my collection. So I'm gonna open up my museum one day, and you guys are all gonna be able to see all my stuff. So I
the
have tons of stuff.
Steve Hultay Museum.
Steve Holden music, it's coming.
Well, I think there needs to be it needs to be a museum slash research lab research, so we can have the museum, but also have like a research area where we can figure
Yeah,
out
Hey, that'd be cool.
it would be
the
cool.
specifics of why
Yeah, it
certain
would.
like why do some people get more communication than others? What is it? What's the
It's
Hmm.
variable
true.
there?
It's
You know?
true. And I know, Wes, you built your own ghost box recently, which is awesome. I love
Hmm.
that people are still doing stuff. And still trying to get out there and do stuff, and you just did it. And you're a fellow musician. I appreciate that too. I love your music, by the
Hmm.
way. I like when you play your music because I do that too. I just I diddle around with the guitar. A lot of times we're ready to go to
Hmm.
bed, and I just play my guitar and
That's
just
nice.
and it just sounds nice, whatever. And
Yeah, I've got a
you're
couple of
doing
your
that
videos.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
So so
It's
we're
weird how a lot of guitar players get into like the whole ghost box and listening to doing that and listening to things and kind of just getting to that field. I just noticed a few different people who play guitar and they're into the ghost boxes, and it's just I don't know. It's just interesting to me that you see that
Yeah, it seems
artistic,
to
I guess.
always been a it's always been a theme. It's always been a theme
Hmm.
throughout. When I've been doing it as well, I noticed that a lot of the people that get a lot of good stuff and that are understanding and hearing stuff, I'm like, oh, they're also musicians.
Hmm.
Maybe there's something to that.
Hmm.
That's another aspect. I'm gonna put that in my book. I'm gonna write a book
Yeah.
eventually.
Right on.
I
People
will.
say love, which music is love, attracts.
If the music is loud.
What's that?
Oh,
No,
what'd
Oh,
you say? I
Darlene was
didn't hear what you
saying
said.
that music is like. I think she's saying that there's like music is kind of like love and like soul, and that kind of might connect to the spirit world in some way. I think maybe you're saying.
Right, probably
Yeah.
gives you the personal touch.
Hmm.
Probably makes it more personal, sure. But it also makes me feel like maybe people that play music or understand music that hear it are hearing on a different frequency, and that's the frequency
Mm-hmm.
we're picking up also with the ghost box. Maybe the frequencies
Mm-hmm.
they match. Who knows? I don't know.
yeah, I can't hear it as well as you can.
You can't hear as well as I can.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you haven't had as much practice either. I
but I
don't know.
also
Is
I'm
it
not in the music.
practice or is it it could be both. I mean, if you haven't done this before, then you might be at a point where you're just not, you haven't trained your ears, you're not able to listen to what's actually happening, and you're not hearing the actual responses. Maybe, but you definitely tune in to people who, like you said, Steve, can't or don't have as much of ability to hear on certain frequencies because we do know that that different individuals hear differently. So.
I do. I think that has a lot to do with it. I think people hear on different frequencies, and I think that people who are in tune with music, and can write the music and listen to the music, I think there's something extra there that is needed to do ghost box communication. I mean, it actually sounds silly, but I don't think it's silly at all. I really think because if you look at all the people who build ghost boxes, like especially like Frank Sumption, um, he was a ham radio operator. My father was a ham radio operator. I grew up operator. I mean that's it seems like there's something to do with ham operators also. CB radios, ham
Mm.
operators, musicians. My
Hmm.
dad was a musician as well. You know, he was in a band for 50 years. He sang and played guitar. I play guitar. I'm not a good singer. If I sing, you'd lose everybody in the chat room right now if I started singing. But but
Yeah, me too.
but it's
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that I don't have it. I would like to sing
Hmm.
if I was able to because I enjoy it. But I enjoy it in the shower, and that's where it should stay. But but anyway, I think there's something to it though. I think there's something to being a ham radio operator, and a musician. I just really think that
Mm.
there's something, one or the other or both, and I think that's some sort of connection to the other side. I don't know what it is, but I think it's definitely something.
Mm. All right. Maybe we'll throw it to the chat now, Steve. I'll see if anybody has any questions there for you.
Sure.
All right. So, um, enjoying the chat, by the way, Steve. Having a lot of fun. Hope you are too.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see the chat, so
Yeah. Well, just I got it up here, and I'll just see if anybody has anything to say. Glenn says that he's a ham.
ham. Yeah, that's KA2RHU. That's that was my dad's handle. So he did that growing up. It was funny because when you did that stuff growing up, when he had his rig upstairs and he would start talking to people on the other side of the country. You couldn't use the home phone. I know people don't use home phones anymore, and you could probably see mine in the background over there. I
Hmm.
still have a landline phone, but you know, whenever I was trying to talk to my buddies on the phone, as a grammar school, whatever, my dad's stuff would just bleed right through, and I
Oh, really?
would, it would just bleed right through. I couldn't even hear on the telephone. But
Oh, it's almost
yeah,
like
it's
those
how.
old-fashioned old-fashioned cordlesses they used to have. You pick it up, you'd hear like two different people's conversations.
Yeah, it just canceled out the entire phone line, so
Wow.
that's what you had, and I was like, come on, Dad, I'm trying to talk to Rich, what's going on, so that's just how I grew up,
Yeah,
but
Zara
I
says
took
hi,
about
by the way. She tells me to say hi to you and Steve. Zara from
Oh,
Paranormal
Zara,
English says hi.
oh, she stayed up. Hi, Zara.
Oh,
Yeah,
it has to be late there.
Yeah, it's got to be very late. She said
it
she
is
wasn't
late
going to
there.
stay up and she was going to
Oh,
catch it
yeah.
on the rerun, but thank you for
We
staying
need
up.
to talk to her. She wants to talk to us about something, I think.
She does?
I think so.
Okay.
Maybe
Katie
not.
says she wants to talk to us. We're
I could
always
be
around.
wrong. I have to go up there.
Landline. Oh, ancient tech, says Glenn. All right, so yeah, just seeing if anybody has any questions. Not seeing anything in the chat for questions right now. So I'm at the point where eventually I talk, or I don't do a lot of talking, but my mind always goes blank on me. You know how that is. Do you have any questions, Charlie? Help me out. uh,
Well, I had a radio show for years. I did my own little radio show, so I'm just I don't shut
mhm.
up. I just talk and talk and talk.
So you're
So
a natural.
in order to get in, you just got to say, Steve, shut up, and I want to talk. Now, but but that's how I always am. I talk, I get to the point, and stuff like that. I'll start filibustering and talking about nonsense. You just got to say, Steve, stop. So then I'll stop.
Glenn again with what's the future hold, Steve?
The future holds. What does the future hold for us? We're doing a convention out in Gettysburg, June 8th.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Right.
Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, it's a great.
And I have some old like tin type photos of Civil War soldiers. So I think that would be a great place to beta test the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
so we got a lot of old stuff. We're going to be ground zero for where 50 something thousand people died in
Yeah.
3 days. And I've been there a
Wow.
bunch of times. It's a big hotbed for paranormal activity.
Yeah.
So we're going to be there. I'll be doing a lecture, talking about stuff. I'll be talking about different stuff. Basically the history. And then my conversations with Frank and how basically all the people I've worked with and all the devices I got working up to. I'm going to try to wrap it all up into 45 minutes. I don't know. I like to talk, so I'm going to have to really wrap it up in 45 minutes. So I'm going to do that, hopefully, and then we'll try
If
out some
we,
new stuff, and we'll have an investigation. We have two investigations, two
Yeah.
investigations that night with the Ghost Brothers
oh, right on.
from TV. So we're going to be
Mhm.
we're going to be doing two investigations with them, and we're going to be trying out some new stuff. I might even bring my Tesla coil. I like that. Shoot some lightning
Oh,
rods
cool.
across the room. So I like to do that. It really ramps up some energy when you really fire that out.
hmm
We need one of those.
We need one of those, says Darlene.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap. I bought it like 10 years ago. It was like $600, $700.
Is it 3 feet?
So yeah, it goes 3 feet for sure.
Wow.
But I love it. It's fun. It's fun to electrocute stuff. And I have a Van de
hmm
Graaff that actually, you remember the stuff, I don't know when you were kids, but the science class you used to touch the thing and your hair would stand up.
Mm.
Oh
I,
yeah, yeah,
I have one of
yeah,
those too.
yeah.
And that actually hurts though. I don't like messing with that thing. It hurts. You put your hand on there and it electrocutes you, but it makes your hand stand up though.
You need to be careful with your heart
Mhm.
Yeah, now I got a metal heart valve, so I gotta watch what I touch and how
Yeah,
much I
let's stay away
electrocute
from that there,
myself.
Steve.
I don't want to
Yeah, let's not be
electrocute
doing
myself.
that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that too much.
All right. Darlene's going. Eh? So,
How
I
many,
am drawing a blank here. Huh?
how many years have you been?
How many years? How many years have you been doing this, Steve?
Um,
You're old.
I'm old. Is that what you said? I'm old. That's not nice.
You're older than me.
I
I
probably about
think you're younger than us.
yeah,
I think
probably about 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah, so I've seen people come and go. I've seen people become psychic overnight. I've seen people just take one of my boxes, just duplicate it, say that it's their own, and then they block me and
Oh
say that they're
wow.
awesome. I've been around long enough to see all that.
Yeah.
So it's not fun. It's not fun. But I try to stay underground now. We try to keep our stuff quiet. I can still do my own stuff. I don't have to broadcast it every second. So I'm still doing my stuff. She's still doing her stuff. And when we come out with stuff, we'll come out with stuff. And then, but we're gonna do it
Mhm.
right this time. I'm not. I'm not.
You should tell them how far apart we are in age.
Oh, we're Katie and I were 1 year, 1 day, 1 hour apart in age wise.
Wow.
So it says we got
That's neat.
a whole bunch of ones going on there.
Hmm.
1 day, one. Okay, so it's one
1
day,
year, 1 day, 1 hour.
1 day, 1 year, 1 day, 1 hour.
Yep.
Wow. Exactly on the dot.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's interesting. We have a lot of stuff in common. So we're working on stuff, and we're gonna,
Yeah.
but we're keeping it quiet.
How did you
Because
guys end up
I got
meeting?
burned too many times.
How did you guys end up meeting?
We met on,
Online.
yeah.
Yeah. I was basically, um, well, I don't know how to explain it. I was not feeling very well, and I kind of thought that the end was near for me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, well, if I
Mm-hmm.
kick the bucket,
That's Eliza.
how am I gonna communicate to people,
That's
you know? So that's when I learned about the ghost box apps and stuff like that. Anyhow, so luckily, I found a good doctor, had surgery, and I had to go to an infusion center for IV antibiotics for 3 months. And Steve talked to me every single day that I went there.
I did.
And I ended up learning how to look inside of apps and see which ones were fake and which ones weren't. And, that's basically how we met. And
See
then
that? Say hello.
I flew out here to meet him, and we just knew.
And now I have a lot of cats.
Now he has a lot of cats.
Now I have a lot of cats. Yeah.
That's cool.
Come here, girl.
So
She's so cute.
yeah, we love them all.
Oh,
What's that?
I say yeah, we love them all. We feed the ones
Mm-hmm.
inside, outside. I don't know. Just waiting for the town to give us more violations for feeding cats or high grass or whatever. I don't know.
Oh boy.
We take it. I don't know. There's only so much you could take
Yeah.
until you just
Mm-hmm.
start laughing about it. You just start laughing about it after a while, after everybody just wants money from you and you don't have it.
Do they really give you violations for feeding cats?
Uh, no, not yet, but they're going to. I
Not
think
yet.
I, because I think the
Uh,
neighbors are going to probably complain like all the cats around. I don't know. They will.
uh,
yeah. It's
But I
just,
mean, what do you do? Let them die? You know?
yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
I mean, I could withhold food in the summertime, but in the wintertime, I can't.
Yeah, no
That's
kidding.
too many.
Because
Yeah, she's
they're
out there
living creatures.
building them houses and stuff. You know, they have little like dog houses that they live in out there. So at least they're away from the rain and the snow and the sleet, and at least we could sleep at night knowing that they have at least some sort of a home out there. I'm not taking any more inside. You can't. You can only have so many cats inside. So
I'm sorry.
Oh
it's
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Crazy cat lady.
crazy cat lady. That's you.
Yep. Exactly.
uh, okay. So we have got five codes here to give out, and
Yes.
I'm not gonna put them online. I'm going to contact the people um, through online after the show or whatever. And anyways, anybody wants to be into those draws, I just need you guys to type to say I want to be entered, and we'll get your name down. And I'll be right back because I need to get a piece of paper to write these names down. And
We'll just tell them to comment on the video. And then
Maybe
if
that's
they're
the top.
interested. You know? I don't know.
We'll just do a draw.
I say, hello. Poor Steve.
So I'll be right back. You chat.
Okay.
They're gonna be able to hear you. So quiet. You realize that?
Oh, okay. Close. I'm good.
I'm not, I don't want to talk to myself. Whoa, Seabats, you're so. Oh, it's okay. You say hello? Say hello. No? Okay. I need to be able to see chat.
How we doing? Okay.
Are you back?
I am back.
Steve left.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
All right. Okay, so I was gonna do a draw for those codes, but not seeing anybody respond to that. Maybe we'll do those at another time then. Or,
So what time is it in Germany right now?
Why?
Because Zara is up this late.
Oh yeah. What time is it
about
in Germany
2:00.
now?
Yeah, that's our.
2 o'clock.
That's like when I wake up.
Yeah, it's when Katie wakes up. Usually 2 o'clock in the morning.
I usually go to bed at 7 and up about 3 in the morning. Oh no, go to bed at 7 a.m. Then I'm up about 3. Sometimes
3 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning?
3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You're like
That's my days.
opposite of me.
I used to do that for a while. I got used to. I used to go to bed when the sun came up, and then I would just sleep all day.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I kind of liked it actually for a while there. Nice and quiet, because it was never anybody
It is,
around. I
yeah.
was up all night. There was nobody, and then I slept all day. There was nobody. So
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, what are you gonna do?
So Albert, I love you. I love you. Okay. Well, I guess we don't really have much else to say here. So, Steve, I want to thank you
Yeah,
so much for
I had just
coming
gotten
on.
home, so I got to take a shower. I got to work again tomorrow. So
Yeah, you just kind of rushed on right after work. Thanks so much,
I
man. Really
did.
appreciate it.
That's no problem, Wes. No problem.
All right, guys. So, this is really enjoyed this, and hope to have you on again, Steve.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because we're gonna be coming out with new stuff. Where we're gonna have a lot of more stuff to talk about.
And this
What?
was good for you, Steve, because he always thinks that YouTube sucks.
Yeah, I'm not a YouTube kind of guy. I just I'm not. You know, I haven't done
It
any
wasn't that
YouTube.
bad.
I'm old school, just radio. You know, talking on the phone. You know, but no, it's not that bad. So it's okay.
All right. Yeah, I like Glenn's idea. Glenn just said do a competition for the codes. I like that, and maybe we'll come up with something. Maybe we'll talk about that and come up with something. Do some kind of competition for that, and yeah, then we'll see who gets those codes. But thanks again, Steve, so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate talking to you today. Had a blast, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Wes.
See you,
All right.
Wes.
Thanks, Katie. Bye bye.
Bye now.
Everybody, and thank you for watching.